Well, hello and welcome to day 2 of our live stream series. My name is Brian Richards, and yesterday I set the scene for what we're trying to do in this 4-day live stream series. We're exploring some brand new technology that'll be of particular benefit to Australian businesses. And that technology is part of a much bigger rollout that's happening as we speak. So what I'd like to do is go over to the main page that explains what that rollout is all about. So here we are on the $1 Million Giveaway series page, and yesterday I explained what this is about, how it's come about, and what it's trying to achieve, which is helping Australian business owners with some very significant digital service packages. And the public launch for this is coming up on the 3rd of May. There is a way to access the resources on this page before then, though, and yesterday I explain what those resources are, why they are so valuable, and in particular we started to have a look at the market X-ray technology. Now my cursor's just got a life of its own. There we go. So just before we dig into our agenda for today, day 2, I just wanted to fill in a couple of gaps I didn't mention yesterday as the journey, I guess, to get to this point of releasing these digital service packages. And I'll just come on screen briefly. There we go. Going back to January 2020, I was ready to roll out a fairly substantial promotion in the US. I've operated in both the US and Aussie environments for over 20 years. And I've been in this authority marketing expert space, reputation space, for a long, long time. And I wanted to do something in the US and test a very significant promotion before bringing it home and doing it on a much bigger scale here, which is what we're about to do. But the testing ground was the US. So I just wanted to go over, I'll just come back and share with you something that I had spent months developing in the US environment. And this was going to be run as a sweepstakes, so there were only going to be a certain number of winners. I'm not doing that here. It's a pure giveaway here. But over there, I had some very substantial prizes on offer, 50,000 US, 20 and 7 for second and third. And the first prize, for example, had 20 elements, and this is a summary in this graphic of what those elements were. And I had, because I've been operating this space for so long, I had connections where I could get interviews on Today, TED, BuzzFeed, in business magazines. I could get a book chapter done for the lucky winner, run a bestseller campaign for them, and a whole lot of other things that were extremely valuable and relatively premium and exclusive. However, in February of 2020, of course, we had the pandemic news hit, and immediately I felt, well, it doesn't feel right, doesn't feel the right time to be running a promotion of this nature. And so I didn't roll it out, and it really, probably in a way, is not a bad thing. It gave me a couple of years to think about how to do this in a bigger scale here in Australia. And one of the things I'm doing is not doing it, as I said, as a sweepstakes. It's a pure giveaway. But this is the heritage. It's actually been 2 years in the making. And what I've done in that time is think about how to customize it more for our local environment here. A number of these resources wouldn't travel across and be quite as relevant here. And it was very helpful in many regards for creating the background. It still took me 6 months, though, the last 6 months, to pull this together now and get it ready and feel the time is right to be rolling this out locally here in Australia. So that's a bit more of the background. And what we started to do yesterday, I'm particularly excited because to complement what was already in the making here around some of these key resources, we had some new technology emerge last year, and it arose through a particular need in the market. And that was a very fundamental need that I highlighted yesterday in day 1. And on our resolutemedia.co site, I cover some of the background to this. And this is only last year, a very significant need, because the existing tools in the marketplace don't give us the data that we need at all. Very inadequate, in fact. And so on the proof page here, we had a number of tests that we ran back then where the prevailing tools, the most popular tools, were showing zeros, and we knew the figures were, for example, one case here, we're looking at $100,000 being spent every month and 7,900 keyword search terms. And some of these tools are showing hundreds of dollars and hundreds of keywords versus thousands and hundreds, 100,000. So that was the need. We found a way to fill that need that no one else has in the 20 plus years that Google Ads have been around. And so it developed out of a Google Ads environment, but then what's happened since is the technology's become even more comprehensive, and we can also get data in other areas outside Google Ads. So that's what this is about here, this Market X-ray technology. And yesterday, we did an overview of all the elements on this page, including the Market X-ray technology, which we started to explore. We had a look at the 5 local niches I've been collecting data on over the last week. So we had live data, basically, it's very fresh to be looking at. And I did an initial examination of niche 1. So let's go over and have a look at where we've started this journey. These are the 5 niches, and what I'd like to do today is, in terms of day 2, we're going to continue our examination of niche 1 and do a deep dive into that niche. We'll look at the competitors, keywords, ads, Google Maps, and any shopping ads that may exist, and then we'll continue this examination over the next couple of days with the other niches. So the niches, once again, financial planners in Brisbane City, cyber insurance, moving on to the commercial insurance side there. Again in Brisbane City, dentists in Brisbane, and then we ventured into Sydney and Melbourne with mobility scooters and roofing, and a couple of these niches have e-com elements as well. So I thought it'd be interesting to see those data coming in on the e-com side. But niche 1 is financial planners in Brisbane. So we had a quick overview look at this yesterday, and today I'd now like to continue that examination with a deep dive into financial planning in Brisbane. So the data that's been collected over the last week, I initiated this work Monday afternoon a week ago. And so at 4 p.m, we had our first lot of data come in with 3 advertisers in this space. And I entered 10 keywords for financial planners in Brisbane that I thought would be representative of the niche. And so based on those keywords in this location, we started to find advertisers, and that was the first 3 that we found. They're the ads. Then I noticed as we went on that we had people advertising at 10 p.m. at night still, which is interesting. And then the first early morning data that we were collecting, because I was running this 24/7 every 3 hours, as you can see, over the 7 days, we still had 4 advertisers at 1 a.m. and 10 advertisers at 4 a.m. on Tuesday. And that was an aberration, because each day we have advertisers still continuing to advertise at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. and 10 p.m. at night. So it looks like these ads are being run potentially 24/7, which is interesting. I mean, it raises obvious questions. Do these advertisers know that some of their ad spend is going into ad time slots that, for financial planning, unless you're targeting shift workers, for example, there are obvious questions. And, we've got a significant number, because even in prime time, in the middle of the day, we've still got 9, 7, 7, 10, they're the numbers. And so there's similar numbers we're seeing at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. On Friday. 9 advertisers, 1 a.m. on a Saturday, and even on Sunday, 1 a.m. We've still got 4 advertisers in there. So it looks like they're running, across the whole day. So immediately, we're starting to see information here that just makes us wonder, I suppose, whether there's good reasons why they're doing that, or whether those particular advertisers, may not be aware of that. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, have a look at this overall niche of financial planning in Brisbane in a little bit more detail. And then if time allows, we might have a look at a particular advertiser, and how we can show comparative data of their performance relative to the overall market. So if we have a look at the market report, initially, just remembering how this is set up, it's for 10 keywords in a particular location of Brisbane City over this week, looking at it every 3 hours. So with that set of inputs, we have 40 competitors in this space. And I mentioned yesterday that the largest number we've seen for a single keyword for a single location is 134. So the point to be made is that some of these more competitive niches, you can have a lot of advertisers, and that means, when there's more competitors in the market, the cost per click is naturally, because it's an auction system, will likely be higher, the cost per lead is likely to be higher, and the impression share, the chance to get featured on the only ad spots that exist, gets harder. And so the impression share can actually reduce as a result of that, because the battle for those clicks, the cost per click that we're talking about, the clicks, is happening on the search engine result page. So this is the search engine result page right now for Financial Planner Brisbane. And I'm sitting in Brisbane. You'll see the location down here is 4,000. So it's the most relevant. I mean, this is now what we see straight away. This is the battlefield. This is what we call the SERPscape, search engine result page. This is the competitive landscape, because it's what happens on this page when these searchers, these prospective buyers, the highest quality traffic in the marketplace, because these search terms that people put in are typically buyer terms for this traffic. They're looking to make decisions, and they're looking for quality information, and this is how Google Ads rewards quality Google Ads listings. The ad copy is designed to get a click-through. If there's a high enough click-through, that can force down the cost per click and improve impression share. It's how Google Ads rewards these advertisers. But there's only a few spots on offer. You've got 1 there, 2 there, and 3 there, 4 there. We've got, let me just refresh that. It's just not formatting. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. See if we've got some at the bottom. Yep. 1, 2, 3. So it's a pretty complete set there. These are the Google Ads, of course. This is our 3-pack: Google Maps, Google My Business, Google Business Profile, now that it's called. This is organic, taking up a big chunk of real estate. We've got structured snippets, we've got extensions, and now we're into the straight organic side, text organic. Interestingly, no videos. Videos can also command a very significant amount of the real estate on the search engine result page. We've got related searches down here. So these related searches are quite helpful as well in terms of other search terms that might be worth considering. We've included that in the technology also. So big picture though, this is our battlefield. And if someone's trying to compete for one of these limited spots, they need to have the data necessary because, as I say in this page, if you can't see the competition, you can't beat it. And that's critical. If we're running blind, we can't make the decisions to drive these very significant budgets. Typically, in any of these spaces, some of the Google advertisers are some of the biggest advertisers in the market, full stop. And so quality input is needed to get quality output and to get good results. And a Google advertiser only has 3 levers, really, to be able to fine-tune their campaigns. That's their bids and their bid strategies, but their ad copy and also their targeting. Those second 2, the ad copy and the targeting, are particularly now within scope for us to help, because we can access what that ad copy looks like and get an idea of who's in the target location that we might be bidding on. So we have data now that completes that view, and we can now see competitors and how they're operating for the first time. We've got keywords. This makes a little bit more sense when you actually look at a particular advertiser in terms of how often these keywords that they're bidding on are seen. We have unique ads, 429 in that week, so it's a fairly active space. Ad extensions and phone extensions come back to the search engine result page. When you see ads, they've got more real estate, they've got phone numbers, they've got some of this happening. Sometimes you'll see other components here added on to the ad. They're all optional when people are setting up their ads to be able to, again, command more of this real estate on this page. So our technology can now identify when that is apparent. And so there's a fairly reasonable number of these advertisers using ad extensions and phone extensions. Probably I thought that might have been a little bit higher. We have no shopping ads, no local service ads because they don't apply in Australia. If you're wondering what a local service ad looks like, this is Rufa San Diego. So in the US market, they've rolled out fairly extensively, particularly through the home services space. And so you see this Google guaranteed tick. And as soon as we had a campaign a while back that suddenly started to show poorer results. It was a really significant client, significant ad spend, highly optimized campaign. Everything was going along really well. And then suddenly the campaign performance started to drop virtually overnight. And if you're just looking inside your Google Ads Manager account, it's very hard to know why. But a clue is the fact that this landscape where the battle, you get outside of your command tent where you're making these decisions and you go and actually look at the battlefield and see what's happening on it. Suddenly you can see lots of things. You can see that there might be a new competitor appear. Or in that case, specifically what had happened is overnight, Google had introduced Google guaranteed local service ads for that keyword and location. And so immediately that started to appear on the search engine result page. It was siphoning off some of the traffic. But unless you actually went and checked it out, then you wouldn't have known. And our technology now can identify things like this when they happen. And we have notifications where we can be alerted that something significant has happened, not just in the Google Ads Manager account, but out here on the actual battlefield itself. So that's one way that this can happen. And when these appear in Australia, if and when they do, there's been a lot of expectation about when they'll arrive here, then we will be able to know that from day one. We'll start picking this up from day one that they first appear on these search engine result pages here. For example, if they were here, we would see that immediately. So we don't have them at the moment. And then inline maps, this is Google Maps, Google My Business. There's a fairly extensive usage of those, which is good to see because they command a very significant amount of the traffic on the search engine result page, the Google Maps, the 3-pack and so on. But what we're going to look at today is a little bit more focused still around the Google Ads because that's where some of the bigger budgets are, and quality data can really make a huge impact in that space. So what we're looking at here is still the overall niche. We're not looking at any particular advertiser at this point in time. And so I'll just go through some of the more granular information that we have available to us here. So first of all, with ads, these are some of the top seen competitor ads. And this information is very hard to obtain any other way than through this technology. And now we can get a clear view of not just who the competitors are, but the actual ad copy. Because again, you've only got 3 levers as an advertiser: your bid and the strategy, the ad copy and the targeting. And with the ad copy is critical because this ad copy is what drives your click-through rate. The click-through rate drives your cost per click up or down, depending on whether your click-through rate is good or not. That's all coming back to your quality score as well. But that affects your cost per lead and your bottom line ROI. And it also, if you've got more competitors in the marketplace driving more ads and there's just more busyness in the marketplace, you've also got a higher chance of instability in your campaign, because you've got more variables coming into play. And one of these ads can suddenly, really take off, and you want to be able to know when it happens. And we can do that here by keeping an eye on it. So these are the ads. I won't spend too much time on this. Time is getting away. So we'll have a look now at keywords. And just remembering, I entered 10 keywords that I thought were representative in this space. So Financial Planner Brisbane. We've got 19 competitors over the course of this week who were bidding on Financial Planner Brisbane. That's why it's the top. Financial Planner NEME, Financial Planner Gold Coast. So I just included that in there because it's close enough. I thought there might have been some firms bidding in the Brisbane city space, but still only an hour or so away. And so we have a surprising number, actually 14 people bidding on Financial Planner Gold Coast, even though the location for this was Brisbane City. And similarly with the Sunshine Coast. So I thought that was interesting that there are advertisers, with those search terms for this location in Brisbane. Certified Planner was a little bit lower than I thought it might have been. What does the Financial Planner do? There were 6 in that space. So that gives us an overview. And I'm just going to look at a few of the highlights here. So for this particular search term, high frequency, that we've seen it across the week. Some other data, 169 maps relevant to that keyword as well. So fair sprinkling of organic to complement the paid traffic there. And also we're picking up those related search terms. So these are other candidates that may be worth exploring if they're not already in this advertiser's collection of search terms that they're going after. Competitors is where we kind of started all this because it's the competitors who have those ads and keywords. And I'll just mention a 5-step process that we tend to take. I'll come on screen briefly just to do this. We follow what I call an ABASK, A-B-A-S-K process, and that's probably because I'm in Queensland, the Sunshine State, and being ABASK in sunshine makes a lot of sense to me. But the important thing is ABASK stands for activity monitoring, breaking down the data, ads, the schedule, and the keywords. So activity monitoring is what we've done here. If you can't see the competition, you can't beat it. So the first thing we've got to do is scan that battlefield. And in this case, I ran the scan over a week. If we were doing this for a client, we could get more granular with the time slots, and we would run it probably continuously. But that activity monitoring is designed to reveal the competitors in the marketplace and the data attached to them. Because the whole point of this technology, that's why I've called it Market X-ray, is to make the data visible. So that's the first step. Once we have turned up the data and made it visible, the B is break down the data. So this is like a deconstruction of the marketplace. And so we can start going into what we see in front of us here on this report and form, some questions and potentially some decisions around this new data that we wouldn't have known otherwise. And then we can move on to the A is the ads. And that's, we just had a look at some of the competitive ads. That helps inform us and helps us write better ads, because if we can drive that click-through rate up, we can drive the cost per click down, and hopefully Google will also reward us with a better impression share. In other words, a bigger share of how many times those ads are seen on those key spots on the search engine result page. We can look at our scheduling, because if we can find hidden schedule opportunities here, we can potentially find some hidden gold. There may be a good reason why these people are advertising at 1 a.m. I can't think of it immediately, but at least we're in a position now to ask questions. And then the K is for keywords. That's simply about finding less competitive, but still valuable keywords, because obviously with the maximum number of competitors in the space, we're faced with all those competitive issues of cost per click and so on. Whereas there might be some gold down here, less competitive terms, but they still may have good buyer intent and therefore good value. But again, we need to have the data to be able to be even in a position to start making those considerations. So activity monitoring has to start the process. If we don't do the monitoring, we don't have the data, and the rest of it's moot. We're running with a very limited view of the real battle as it's being played out in real time. And then we break down the data because we now have the data. The ads and the scheduling and the keywords then go into our overall campaign performance. And we can make significant improvements in campaign performance fairly quickly because of the information that we now have. So we've had a look at most things. Now with financial planning, here are the competitors we started to look at. Better Financial Planning has appeared 103 times over the course of the week. So they're very active, which is why they're featuring up here at the top of this chart. I'll just have a look at the full chart. So 103, 92, 80. So some pretty active advertisers in there. And what I receive as notifications, as soon as there's a new advertiser in the space, I know it instantly because the technology will tell me, and that can have an impact on existing campaigns. And so we've got a bit of additional information here about each of those, which I won't go into in a lot of detail right now because time's getting away. And then, of course, we've got some maps data, Google My Business or Google Business Profile, average position in the 3-pack, 1, 2, and 3, and so on. Numbers of reviews. Reviews are critical, absolutely critical. They keep getting more and more important, and it applies in this map pack, 3-pack, money pack, Google My Business space, but it applies in every endeavor. Why? The main page here, once we get through this kind of breakthrough market X-ray technology, the very next gift is an authority badge, and this supports a business owner in the review space and allows us to live stream your most recent and most compelling reviews directly to your website, again in real time. And then, of course, we've got our masterclass. So a lot of this is around the authority space, reputation space, and that ties in the reviews at the same time. It's a bit hard to see that, so just let me go back to full screen. Okay, so that's maps. So what we've done now, we've had a look at all of the primary components for our overall market view. And going back to our advertiser table, this is a summary of all the advertisers. So what I might do is now dig into just one of these advertisers, and we'll pick on number 1, shall we? That seems fair. My apologies to Better Financial Planning. So what we now see for this particular advertiser, and I won't go too far, I'll just look at a few of the highlights here. We can see that because I chose it, ranking number 1 amongst competitors out of that total pool of 40. We see their keywords that they're bidding on being seen 40% of the time relative to the overall group of only 28%. So they're being quite successful with their ads, and they've got 82 ads out of the 429 as we saw before. We're seeing their ad extensions being seen just a little bit higher than the average for the group. No phone extension, interestingly, no shopping ads, no local service, of course. And we haven't pulled in data for the map side there. If we look at their ads, so these are their ads that we saw most often in the searches, and there were a lot to choose from, that 80 whatever. So these are the top seen ads in that space. So if you're in a niche and you want to know what the main players are doing in your niche, this is how we can see that. Top seen competitor ads to this advertiser. Pretty helpful. Keywords. Just going through that once again. competitors, and of course they're sitting up here. And if we were doing this for an individual client, this is the report that we would do for that particular client, so they could see their relative position. So I'm just looking at the time and thinking, okay, we're probably pushing on a little bit longer than I wanted to. What we'll do over the next couple of days, we'll dig into the other 4 niches, but now that we've covered the territory a couple of times, I'll be able to just dig in a little bit more quickly and look for some highlights for you in those other niches. We'll see e-com start to appear for starters, and just coming up a little bit bigger picture now. What we're trying to do is highlight through these specific examples that this new technology, I mean, it's obvious that I feel it's a big deal, and it is a big deal, even though we're talking about Google advertisers, and not everyone's a Google advertiser. Just having that intelligence about a marketplace is very helpful, because it helps a business understand who are the main players in that niche. And we're collecting other data now beyond Google Ads, and that will continue to evolve. But because it's real time, and because this is where the bigger dollars are being spent around Google Ads, it's very helpful information. And so what I'd like you to do, the what's next is basically, if you'd like your own customized market X-ray scan report, you'll have the facility here to be able to do that. And by simply requesting that information, you go to the little form here, enter 3 keywords that are of value to you and your preferred location, and we'll run a scan report for you over 2 days. So we have a nice amount of data there that we can send back to you. I'll do a customized analysis for you, particularly for these early ones. I'm not sure how long I continue to do that, but if you wanted to get a customized analysis, then please move on this quickly, because I want to just enhance the value. And at the same time, it's more real data basically that we can work with. And so just by requesting your own customized scan report, we will give you access to the lab inside the Resolute Vault, whether or not you decide to be a gold or platinum subscriber for the full giveaway series, just for engaging around this new technology. I'll give you access to that. I'll also give you gold level subscription anyway, which will give you access to these resources. So you'll get that simply for requesting your report. And if I can use the sample scan results, because it's then a kind of an active niche, that we've just looked at, it gives me more information that I can share and use for education purposes. And then I'll upgrade you to platinum for that privilege. So that's the next steps. I invite you to do that. Otherwise, if you'd simply like to follow the journey here, and we'll have a look at our other 4 niches over the days ahead: cyber insurance, dentists both in Brisbane, mobility scooters in Sydney, and roofing in Melbourne. And I'll also share with you some additional aspects of this technology that we haven't uncovered as yet. So I look forward to seeing you hopefully tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to digging a little bit more deeply into how valuable this technology is with you. I'll see you then.